How does a person disappear in front of witnesses and leave nothing behind but silence? I still see it clearly. The bank doors closed behind her, their reflection catching the morning light, swallowing her in a kind of glass prison. I was standing across the street, waiting for the light to change. She wasn't a stranger, not really. I'd seen her here before, same time, same routine. Always carried a pale blue folder tucked under her arm. Always pressed the button on her phone twice before slipping it back in her coat. A habit, a ritual, something grounding in the middle of her day. That morning, though, her phone buzzed, and buzzed again. She didn't answer. She just pushed it deeper into her pocket as if the sound itself unsettled her. The crosswalk signal blinked green. I stepped forward. That was the last time I saw her face. Minutes later, when I looked back, she should have been at the counter in line signing her name the way people always do. But the space was empty. The glass doors reflected nothing. And her phone, it kept ringing, muffled through the pocket of a coat that no one seemed to be wearing anymore. I didn't know her name then, but I would never forget the sound. A phone buzzing with no one to answer. I didn't know her name that morning, but by evening I did. They said it softly, as if afraid to break it. Eleanor Voss. The strange, the details people remember. One neighbor said she always bought the same bread from the corner shop, rye unsliced. Another swore she carried a notebook with pressed flowers taped to the pages. And yet, when the detective asked me, all I could recall was the way she pressed her thumb against her phone before sliding it away, as if she didn't want to be found. I think about that now, how we anchor ourselves to rituals. Small habits that no one notices until they vanish with us. The sound of her shoes against the pavement that morning. The pale blue folder under her arm. The hesitation when her phone buzzed but she refused to look. The detective told me she worked for a small accounting firm 2 streets away. Quiet. Dependable. No history of debt. No strange companions. Her brother insisted she was saving for something big, though he never said what. And her desk, they said it was immaculate. Except for one thing. A single sticky note left behind. 7 digits, written in ink that had smudged. No area code. No explanation. I've replayed that morning 100 times in my head. But the harder I try, the less certain I become. Was the folder she carried pale blue? Or gray? Did the phone buzz once? Or 3 times? Did I really see her hesitate? Or is that just the memory I want to believe? All I know for certain is this. Eleanor stepped into the bank. And every trace of her life fractured the moment those glass doors closed. Her apartment was on the 2nd floor, above a florist. The kind of place where the smell of lilies slipped under the doorframe, mingling with dust and old wood. Inside, nothing shouted. No clutter. No chaos. Just careful order. Books stacked by height, shoes lined toe to heel, teacups placed like they were waiting for someone who never arrived. On the small table by the window sat a Polaroid camera. Beside it, a pile of photographs. Not of people, not of parties or birthdays, but of shadows, bridges at dusk, trains blurred by motion, an empty park bench with leaves caught in the wind. Her lens seemed to linger on silence, as though she trusted quiet more than voices. Her brother told me she loved the color yellow, though you'd never know it by her wardrobe. Muted tones, pressed blouses, practical shoes. And yet, in the corner of the kitchen, a single yellow mug sat chipped at the rim, as if she reached for it every morning, no matter how imperfect it was. I've wondered since, who was she, really? The dependable colleague? The shy neighbor with rye bread in her basket? Or the woman who captured shadows, clung to one chipped mug, and pressed her thumb against her phone like she was holding back a secret? Sometimes I think you only see the truth of someone when they're gone. In the empty spaces they leave behind. In the details they never explained. And Eleanor's life was full of those quiet corners. Her brother told me Eleanor hated the rain. Said she would never leave home without an umbrella. That storms unsettled her ever since childhood. He made it sound like a defining trait, the way families often cling to one small truth and hold it up like a whole portrait. But Mrs. Carter, the neighbor across the landing, shook her head when I asked. Her eyes narrowed, as though the question itself was a mistake. No, she said slowly. That girl loved the rain. I'd hear her sometimes, laughing on the balcony when it poured. She'd stretch out her hands like it was some kind of blessing. The certainty in her voice unsettled me. Two people, both close to Eleanor in their own way, each insisting on opposite truths. Who was she when no one was looking? I asked Mrs. Carter if she was sure. She pressed her lips together, then added something stranger still. She wore no coat that night, not even shoes. Just standing there in the storm. Her voice dropped. It wasn't fear I saw on her face. It was peace. That image lingers with me. Eleanor, rain-soaked, bare feet on concrete, smiling at something no one else could see. And for the first time I felt it, that maybe her life wasn't as neat as her brother wanted us to believe. I found her phone wedged between sofa cushions, screen cracked in the corner. Most of it was empty, few photos, fewer contacts. But one message thread remained. It wasn't saved under a name, just a single letter, H. The texts were ordinary at first. Got home safe. Work was slow. Did you eat? But then, scattered between those everyday lines, fragments that felt like confessions no one else had heard. I don't want him to know who I am. I feel different in the rain. Lighter. Like I belong there. Promise you won't tell them what I told you about the river. I read them again and again, my chest tightening. Her brother's Eleanor, cautious, delicate, unsettled by storms, didn't fit these words. This Eleanor seemed drawn to something vast, secret, almost dangerous. The last message was sent the night before she vanished. Just 2 words. It's time. No answer followed. I don't know if she was warning someone or reassuring herself. But the more I read, the less I felt I knew her at all. The detective didn't read her messages the way I did. Where I saw longing, he saw intent. Where I heard her voice trembling with secrecy, he heard a confession. He leaned across the table, phone glowing between us. Look at this, he said, finger hovering over the words. I don't want him to know who I am. He tapped the screen. That's not poetry. That's concealment. I tried to argue. Eleanor was private, layered, maybe even afraid of being misunderstood. But he didn't blink. Private people don't invent second selves unless they're hiding something. Then he read the last line aloud, the one that haunted me most. It's time. His voice was flat, stripped of emotion, as though it was evidence, not a farewell. To me, that's not just a message, he said. That's a signal. I felt the floor tilt beneath me, because suddenly Eleanor wasn't the quiet neighbor with Polaroids and chipped mugs. She wasn't her brother's delicate sister or the girl who danced barefoot in rain. In his eyes, she was someone preparing for something bigger, something darker. The detective slid the phone back toward me. You want her to be a mystery, he said. But mysteries don't vanish on their own. People make them. I left the station with her words echoing in my head. Not softer, not smaller, but louder now, as though she had written them for everyone but me. Her brother's voice. She hated storms. You don't understand. She would never. But I can still see Mrs. Carter's eyes narrowing. No, I saw her, laughing in the rain, like she belonged there. The detective's words cut sharper. That's not longing. That's a signal. She was hiding, preparing. Yet Eleanor's own voice lingers on the cracked screen, softer, almost trembling. Promise you won't tell them. It's time. They don't fit. None of it does. It's like 4 mirrors held up to one face, each one reflecting something slightly different. Which is the truth? Or was the truth always in the fracture itself? The fact that no one really knew her? I imagine her Polaroids, all those shadows she captured. Maybe she was telling us something all along. Maybe the silence between her words was louder than any confession. And yet the question remains, gnawing. Was Eleanor running from someone? Or becoming someone else? I don't have the answer. But I know this. The pieces left behind will keep pulling us back, the way unsolved puzzles always do. This is where we leave her story, not in certainty, but in the ache of not knowing. And if you want to step deeper into the shadows, into the stories that never stop echoing. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret